Hopefully it looks like it's working. Cool, we're working. Hello everyone and welcome to our show tonight. I'm so glad you could join us on this it's a beautiful Tuesday evening here in Melbourne. It is just gorgeous. Balmy 18 degrees, tiny little breeze. It's just beautiful outside. And here I am inside talking to you. Never mind, I'm glad to be here. Let's get rid of that rubbish. I noticed that Margarita said in the comment in her chat that stockpiling is her favourite subject. It's one of my favourite subjects too. It's not the topic I was going to talk about tonight though. I had something else in mind. But on Saturday we had our monthly card ladies get together, and I was talking to Joy, and she commented that the stockpile didn't look, for this time of year, it didn't look like it had depleted much. And without really thinking, I said, I've started restocking. And she said, but you only shop once a year. And the comment then was, yes, I was able to buy flour because I found it slightly cheaper. I had the opportunity to go to Costco and it was a bit cheaper at Costco, so I bought my flour there. And kept merrily talking about other stuff and making cards and drinking cups of tea and things as we do. It wasn't until everyone had gone and I was tidying up and fluffing around and I thought, well, but I haven't really started restocking the stockpile because I do pretty much do the bulk of my yearly shop between Christmas and New Year's. In those few days when the supermarkets are quiet and everyone's out buying 25-cent rolls of wrapping paper and 30-cent boxes of Christmas cards, I'm in the supermarket doing my yearly shopping. So that got me to thinking. So I had a quick look at the stockpile, and no, I think the thing that caught Joy's attention was I have been rearranging and tidying up and inventorying, if that's a word, in expectations of making up my yearly shopping list and getting what we need. So I cheated a little bit and bought my flour ahead of time, but pretty much everything else is on track for being used up. I'm just peering over there. Well. I did. I bought tea as well, and that's because I was nearly out, but my tea, the tea I like, hasn't been on half price for a long time, and in the last 3 weeks it has been. So I've stocked up on my tea, and I have enough tea for the next 15 months, thank goodness. But I'm down to like 3 tins of beetroot, which is might get us through the end of the year. Depends how much only Wayne and I eat it, so depends how we go on salads and things. But you know, I've got 5 tins of pineapple. That won't be enough normally till the end of the year, but again, I'll just make it last. The baked beans, the tomato soup, everything else seems to be on track. I did buy 2 dozen tins of nut meat from NQR when it was on sale, $2 a tin, about a month ago. But that's not normally on my shopping list anyway. That was sort of an extra thing, and that's, as Hannah says, that's what the grocery slush fund's for. So, no, Joy, if you're out there, I haven't really started restocking other than those 2 things. I have just rearranged the shelves and things and made room and packed stuff up and made it tidier. Perhaps that's what caught your eye. But before I started my yearly shopping, I used to stockpile for three months, September, October, November. So we're a bit late with this show. I should have done it last month. September, October, November, because you may remember, and this still applies, I do not grocery shop in December. I do not go near the shops in December unless it's for pleasure, to browse or to hunt for something just for me or whatever. I don't deliberately shop in December. I like to have everything done by the 30th of November so I can have December off. When the kids were at school, I worked it so that I could have December and January off so that I didn't have to take them to the shops with me. I managed our monthly groceries so that I would buy them all in September, October, and November. And we just had a ball during the holidays. We didn't worry about groceries. We'd fly into Aldi and pick up the milk if we needed milk. And that was it. Well, uh-oh.
I've got no internet.
Oh.
If you have no internet.
No, I'm still on.
That would still record though.
Oh.
Alright, never mind. We're back.
We're back.
Yep.
Sorry, folks. I don't know whether you could see me or hear me or not. We had a bit of a hiccup then. First hiccup of the new internet service.
Yep.
Oh, it had to be tonight, didn't it? Anyway, so what I used to do was divide the December and January shopping lists into 3 and add 1/3 to September, 1/3 to October, and 1/3 to November, and just buy ahead of time. Now, I was able to do that because, do you remember me telling you, I discovered way back before Flossie here was born that I pretty much bought the same things over and over and over. They just varied slightly from summer to winter. And that's how I created my shopping list. So I have a winter shopping list and a summer shopping list. So obviously this time of year I'm doing the summer shopping list, and that has things on it like beetroot and pineapple and less of the tomato soup and baked beans. We switch around a bit. Otherwise, everything's pretty much the same. Each time I did the shopping, I still bought flour, I still bought sugar, I still bought cereal, wheat bix and rices and oats. I still bought rice. I still bought all those things. I just varied it with perhaps the odd spice that we had to have, or we might have run out of Vegemite, so I'd get a jar of Vegemite because we don't use a lot of it. So pretty much my shopping list is pretty standard. And I think you'll find, if you have a good look at what you buy each week and average it over a month, that you probably do the same thing, because we all eat pretty much the same foods. It's just the way we prepare them that's a little bit different. I just need a sip of water, excuse me. There we go. So that means I could spread my shopping list out over the 3 months and have time off. It also helped build the stockpile. But we were thinking of Christmas at the same time. So coming up for Christmas, there are extra things in the grocery basket. I know there are in ours. There probably are in yours too. There will be extra baking things. There will be extra treats in the form of chocolates or scorched almonds. Yum. They've already been on sale for $5 at Coles. The chocolate sultanas, the nuts, the chips, the pretzels, all those sorts of things. So I built those into my December shopping list so I could spread them out. Now, the best part about buying those things is they're on sale now from September through to the end of January. All those things will be on sale because we've had football grand finals, then we have Christmas, then we have New Year's, then we have Australia Day. So all those treats are going to be on sale, and you can all buy all those things ahead of time because they last forever, just about. Check the best before dates, because not many of them have a use by. It's a best before date. So you can buy those ahead of time and put them away. And that's the trick. You have to put them away. If they're for Christmas, you put them away. What do we say, Hannah? You can't eat it because it's for Christmas.
Don't leave it near Mum or she'll eat it.
Don't leave it near Mum, she'll eat it. That's not true. Well, maybe a little bit of it's chocolate. Cheezels. Oh, I love cheezels. Shh. It's my guilty secret. Don't tell. I love cheezels. They haven't been on sale for ages. They're still $2 a box.
I don't think they'll get any cheaper than that.
Probably not, which means I won't buy them. Anyhow, that's how I stockpiled for December for Christmas. And I would, if I normally bought 2 boxes of rices in December, I'd add an extra box to September, an extra box to October, so that I would have the December groceries put away. Now, I just put the basic groceries straight into the pantry because I'm pretty much the only one that goes into the pantry for basic groceries. Everyone else goes in, apart from Hannah when she's baking, but everyone else goes in looking for treats and something to eat, and there's never anything to eat in this house. We've got a cupboard full of food and a freezer full of food and a fridge full of food, and it's like I always say, if it's not there on a plate saying, please eat me, we don't have any food in the house. But the treats I put away. I have a box in my wardrobe, and the treats go into that box because, again, nobody apart from Wayne goes into the wardrobe except me. And so they are pretty safe in there. And our wardrobe is the coolest room in the house. It's right smack bang in the middle of the house. It's surrounded by other rooms. It has no external walls. It's the coolest room in the house. So putting chocolates and things in there for summer, they get soft, but they don't melt to liquid on the really hot days. So it's a really handy place for me to do. I just have a tub, just a white tub. I just toss stuff in. I also do that for the stocking stuffers because the kids still, even though they're adults, still like their treats in their Christmas stocking. So things like their favourite cereals, their favourite chocolate bars, their favourite soft drinks. What else do I add for you? Chips and things like that. All those sort of treat things that we don't have all during the year. I buy chocolate when they're on sale. Oh, yes, and the gold coins, because you've got to have gold coins at Christmas. I buy during the year, September, October, November, and keep them in my wardrobe in the box, ready to put into their stockings. So it's a pretty easy thing to do. You just need to think a little bit ahead and remember that the food you buy in September, October, and November has to last you for at least December, if not January as well. If you can stretch to January and not do grocery shopping in January, you're going to be way ahead on your grocery slush fund. So that when school goes back, you might be able to do a huge meat shop, or you might be able to refill your baking supplies, ready to do baking for back to school, something like that. Or you could just have some spare cash to treat the family to something fun, go to the movies or something like that. But you'll have a lot of cash left over if you can do that. It just takes a little bit of planning. Now, in our 2020 planner that I just happen to have here, we have a list of pantry, fridge and freezer basics, basic groceries. These are pretty much the basic groceries I keep in our house. And there's everything from plain flour to barbecue sauce to frozen broccoli. Usually the frozen broccoli comes from our garden. I don't buy it unless it's really cheap at the greengrocers, and then I freeze it myself. But it's on the list. All the things these are the basics that you'll find in our house, in my pantry and fridge and freezer, pretty much year round. There's also space to write your own because you might have different sauces that you like, or you might prefer a different cereal or have gluten-free needs or whatever. So you can add your own to those, and that will help you make up your shopping lists because you will know what you need to get when you need to get it. So if you've got your 2020 planner, have a look at that list to help you make up your stockpiling shopping list. I'm getting a bit jumbled here because I'm thinking 10 things ahead. Okay, so I'll just have another sip because I'm getting a bit dry. There we go. That's better. Now, it just means that you will probably, time-wise, someone said to me, doesn't it take a lot of time? It'll take you probably 5 or 10 minutes at home before you go shopping to just quickly check the quantities and the stuff that you need and work them out that way. 5 minutes in the store and maybe another extra 5 minutes in time when you get home to put it away. But you're saving the time and traveling to the supermarket or the butcher or the greengrocer or wherever. In December, you're saving all that time, you're saving the petrol, you're saving the angst of having to go out in the crowds. To me, it's well worth it to not have to do that grocery shopping unless I absolutely need to. It also means that when, Christmas Eve or the 23rd, when you need the fresh stuff like the cream and the fresh salad veggies and things, if you don't grow them, you can quickly zip out really early if you want to, or zip in, pick up what you need and get out really fast. You can go through the express lane. You won't be there with a huge trolley full of food trying to get through those checkouts. You'll have your half a dozen things and you can scoot through. When I started doing this, it absolutely changed how I felt about Christmas as far as food went, as far as grocery shopping went. It's a game changer if you can do it. And a side benefit is you might not use all those basics that you buy. So that can be the start of your stockpile for 2020. You might not use all the flour. You might not use all the sugar. You might not use all the pasta. What is left is the start of your 2020 stockpile. You can use those things and build on them as you do your grocery shopping. And if you've been able to save some grocery money and you've got a slush fund going, then you are even more ahead and you will have slush fund money to be able to help build that grocery stockpile too. I read just tonight, I was flicking through some Facebook posts and I came across a post about this lovely lady's great-grandmother. Her grandmother, her great-grandmother. Her great-grandmother was a young bride during World War I. Her grandmother was a bride during World War II. They both lived through the Depression. The great-grandmother had lived through World War I, so she knew when the signs, she knew that when the Depression hit and then later on the signs were coming that we were heading for another world war, she knew the things that they needed to stockpile to survive the coming rationing, I guess. I think we had a little bit of rationing here in Australia, certainly not as much as they had in the UK, but we had rationing. So they stockpiled soaps. And what they did was they emptied all the drawers, all the clothing drawers, and put down a layer of soap and then put all the clothes back. And they did that in every drawer. And they had enough soap, bars of soap, cakes of soap then, to get them through the war. Now, they were able to use it to clean themselves. They were able to grate it to use for their washing. We still do that today in washing powder. In our cheapskates washing powder, we grate a bar of soap. They were able to use it to keep their homes clean, to do the dishes, all those things. But they were only able to do that because they thought ahead and stockpiled. It was really interesting. It made me realise that perhaps we think of stockpiling as something that's fairly new and perhaps a bit prepperish. Prepperish, is that a word? As if you're prepping, if you're a doomsday prepper or something. But it's not really. It's been going on for a long, long time, for generations. And it's not a weird thing to do. It's a very wise thing to do. You don't necessarily need to stockpile to be, full of doom and gloom. But it's nice to know that if you don't feel like going out to do the shopping, you don't have to, because, hello, we have a stockpile of food available. We have a stockpile of toiletries available, of our health needs, of our cleaning needs. They're all there. We don't need to do the shopping this week if we don't want to, or this month if we don't want to. It's a nice feeling. It's also very reassuring, especially for me, because I have been in this position, to know that if you find yourself without any money, that you will be able to eat, you'll be able to stay clean, you'll be able to keep your home clean. You will be able to stay healthy because you have basic meds and vitamins and things on hand. You've thought ahead and prepared. What's that saying? Expect the best but prepare for the worst. So maybe that's what we're doing when we're stockpiling. I just know that it's my security blanket, and so many of you will know, have said that for a long time. My stockpile is my security blanket. it's my fuzzy wuzzy thing that I have to have a stockpile. I have to know that come what may, I will be able to feed my family. I will be able to keep them clean. I will be able to keep our home clean. So I'm not expecting anything drastic to happen. I just like to know that come what may, we will be able to survive. And that's what our stockpile does. So when we're stockpiling for Christmas, we're stockpiling for a celebration, but we're also perhaps thinking a little bit ahead maybe of how we can build our stockpile so that it works better for us and we keep the more things that we use in it. Now, when you're stockpiling, only stockpile things you use and only stockpile quantities that you can use in a timely manner. Now, tinned goods last just about indefinitely. They will deteriorate in quality, they'll lose colour, might change in flavour or whatever, but they will keep. Dry goods, your pastas and things, will last for a very long time. But anything that has an oil in it or something like that, there is a shelf life on those. So your powdered milks, for instance, I would keep enough for about 6 months because full cream milk especially still has fat in it and that will go rancid. If you can't put it in the freezer and you have to store it on your shelf, probably a 6-month supply is ample if you need to stockpile powdered milk. I keep powdered milk because I use it to make custards and white sauces and things like that. I use it when we go camping. It goes into my cake mixes when I do bulk batch of cake mixes. The instant custard packets I make, I use powdered milk. So we churn through it pretty quickly, but I still only buy 6 months worth at a time of the powdered milk. So keep an eye on things like that when you're building the stockpile. Something to keep in mind too is if you buy wholemeal flours, whole grain flours, or brown rice, those two have a relatively short, while they're still dry goods, have a relatively short shelf life simply because of the oils in them. Unless you can put them in the freezer and keep them frozen, it's best to only keep perhaps 6 to 12 months worth of those things on your shelves. Right. Anything else? What do you do? Stockpiling? Not much.
Nothing food-wise, really.
No, Hannah doesn't stockpile food-wise because she has me.
Yeah.
She has me. She's good at stockpiling toiletries though. Soaps, shampoos, deodorants, toothpaste, mouthwash, hair conditioner if you use it.
Makeup.
Makeup.
I've got another order coming tomorrow too as well.
Also, all sorts of things like that, all stockpile. And perhaps if you are thinking of new makeup, this week at NQR they have Maybelline. Maybelline, yes. Is it Maybelline that does the age rewind?
Yeah.
Yes. Maybelline for $5 at NQR for Victorian cheapskaters. If you have an NQR near you, they have some lovely Maybelline cosmetics for $5 at NQR this week. So that's a huge saving on some of them. But I digress. I've lost my plot. I've plot my loss. That thought's gone, whatever it was, it's gone. Another thing you might like to think about stockpiling for Christmas, and you've probably already done this last year at Boxing Day sales, is things like plastic tablecloths, paper plates, the bamboo cutlery if you use them, the paper cups, things like that. If you do a lot of entertaining, barbecues, picnics, they're all things that are handy to have. So buy them while they're cheap, put them away in your party box or whatever. We have a party box, and keep the stockpile going. Those serviettes are always very handy to have. You can usually get those things if you want a Christmas theme, get them on Boxing Day or Christmas Eve. They usually start to mark them down pretty quickly and cheaply, and they're good things to have in your Christmas stockpile too. I haven't touched on gifts because that's a different topic. We talked a little bit last week about gift ideas, but maybe we can do more about that later. My mind's gone blank again. Totally lost the plot tonight. So sorry, folks. All right. Anyway, do you get the idea? Do you understand how if you split your December, January shopping list into 3 and spread it over, well, you'll be doing it into 2 now, so you'll be doing December in October and January and November, and then you don't need to hit the shops at all in December and January. It makes life easier, gives you a bit of break. It's one chore you don't have to do when you're busy doing other things, because we all know the end of the year is frantic for everyone, even if you think it's not going to be. It turns out to be a very busy time. It's a simple way to do it. It does require you drawing ahead on your grocery money. So think about that and how that's going to affect your budget. But it also means that you won't go over budget because you have X amount of dollars to spend. Once it's gone, folks. There ain't no more. So you need to remember to stick to your list, stick to your budget. Shop around if you need to. And I know people hate being told to shop around. But frankly, it doesn't take you that much longer to pop to Aldi and then to Coles or Woolies and then perhaps the greengrocer and the butcher than it does to do the whole lot in one spot. 95% of Australians have massive shopping centres close by with multiple grocery and food outlets in them. So it's not like the old days where you had to go from shop to shop in a strip mall or go from suburb to suburb looking for things. We don't have that issue. Most of us don't have that issue anymore. So it doesn't take that much longer, but it will save you a lot of money. And in the long run, it does save you time. Now, I have an announcement. Folks. We sold out of our planners, so we ordered more. And we sold out of them within 3 days. They were gone. And I have been inundated, and I mean inundated, with messages and emails and contact us's from people asking for a planner. Is there just one left? Trust me, if there was one left, I'd let you have it. So I spoke to the printer this morning. I spoke to Simon, the printer, this morning. I explained the issue, and we have ordered another 200 planners. So if you don't have your 2020 Living the Cheapskates Way budget and lifestyle planner, we have more ordered, but we won't be getting them until the 9th of December. We won't receive them until the 9th of December, which means if you order one, that's fine, you will get it, but there's a good chance you won't get it in time for Christmas. So if you want it as a Christmas present, you need to think about that before ordering, because we won't get them until the 9th of December. Once we get them, we'll shoot them out as fast as we possibly can, but we won't, I can't guarantee that you will get it before Christmas. With the way Ozpost is at the moment, they're telling me to allow 3 to 6 business days for parcel delivery in Australia at the moment.
Well, that's all right. We allow 5 to 10 business days.
Well, I'm thinking the closer it gets to Christmas, the busier it's going to get.
They have one.
So just be aware that if you order one from today, they will be sent as soon as possible after the 9th of December, but I can't guarantee that you will get it before Christmas. So if you want one, pop over to our website, click on shop, and right at the top is the Living the Cheapskates Way budget and lifestyle planner for 2020. You'll see it. You'll see the picture. It'll be just that. Just like that, all pretty. And you can choose up to 3. I think I've got it set, the limit is 3. And that. But seriously, folks, this time I'm no more. Absolutely no more. Simply because we won't get them till mid-January then, which means that you won't get them till, or whoever buys them won't get them till after January. So it's sort of pointless having a planner halfway through the new year, isn't it? Anyway, that's my announcement. We've ordered 200 more. I noticed that some of them have already sold. Someone found them already.
And Tanya got one.
Has sold them.
Yeah.
So if you are one of the lovely people who's asked me if there's just one left, jump on now and get it. It will go out, the announcement will go out in this week's newsletter. So that goes out to, I don't know, 96,000 people or something. So I don't expect them to last. I'm really thrilled that everyone seems to love it. But I'm just being honest here, folks. If you want it, get in now. Okay. Now, I did notice that I think it was Jamie Lee has started colouring in her savings tracker.
Emergency fund.
Her emergency fund tracker. And she wants to save $2,000 next year. So she's doing half the challenges in purple and the other half in another colour. I think she said green when she gets to them. So how cool is that? And I noticed that Joy commented that she's already started filling out hers for next year. She's doing it in pencil in case something changes so she can rub it out. I thought that's a really good idea. So she's using the planner at the front, the yearly planner at the front, and just writing in the notes in pencil. So if she has to rub them out, she can. Good idea. Now, someone did ask if we could put a pen holder on the planner. Well, folks, I haven't got a pen. Use your spiral. I don't think there's one there either. Use your spiral, because honestly, this is a hardcover planner. To put a pen holder on it is not only difficult, but we looked into it. It added to the cost quite considerably, and that wasn't just, you know, a few cents. It was up there in the dollar range, a couple of dollar range. So we chose not to do that. I've always just slipped my biro over the spirals on my diaries. So I suggest you do that if you really want to have a pen close by. That's an easy thing to do. What else did I have to say? Can't remember. I can see a brand like a sieve. Washing soda must have eaten it. Ugh. Thursday night we will be cooking. I'm going to talk about how to use your freezer, how to use your freezer properly, because yes, there is a proper way to use your freezer. It's not just open it, shove stuff in and slam the door. There's a proper way to use your freezer to maximize the space and so it reaches its full potential as far as a handy dandy kitchen device for you, a kitchen tool. A freezer really is a tool that needs to be used to its full potential. So I want to talk about that. And while I'm talking about that, I'm going to make, I posted the recipe, I think it was yesterday, the day before, for the moist coconut cake. It's one of my favorites. And when I posted the recipe, I thought, you know what? I'm going to make that cake on Thursday night. Now, I may regret saying that because it's going to be really hot here on Thursday and I may not want to have the oven on. But whatever, we'll just make this really yummy coconut cake and see how it turns out while we're chatting about how to use your freezer to its full potential so it saves you money, time and energy. All right, someone looking up here. Oh, no. Sorry, I had a little thing flashing up in front of me there. Alrighty, now, do we have any questions tonight?
Yeah, Maureen had one.
Maureen had a question. Hello,
She was
Maureen.
out in the garden today and decided to pull the cabbage leaves, like she was telling you.
Yeah.
And instead she found 5 huge cauliflowers. They don't freeze well. Any ideas? Cauliflower fried rice in the freezer?
Cauliflower will freeze if you're going to, you need to blanch it first. So what I usually do with cauliflower is cut it up into the florets, blanch it, drain it so it's really dry, flash freeze it, then bag it up. Or you can turn it and then it's fine if you serve it with a gravy or a cheese sauce or a white sauce. Just on its own, it's a bit irky and it's not good to put in a salad like that. But it's also good like that if you want to crumb it, because crumbed cauliflower is delicious. Yum. And to crumb it, same thing, little florets, cut it up into the florets, beat an egg, crush some cornflakes or some rice bubbles. Either or. You can add a little bit of Italian herbs or mixed herbs, depending on what you have in the cupboard, same deal, to the crumbs. So then you dip it, flour it, dip it, crumb it, and then fry it. So you can deep fry it if you have one of those whiz bang fantastic deep fryers. I don't have one. So I put probably in my small fry pan, because I don't want to use a whole heap of oil, so I have a smaller fry pan. I put probably 2 centimeters of oil, maybe 2 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters, about 1 inch of oil. And I just use vegetable oil. Olive oil isn't good for this type of frying. So just a vegetable oil. The Aldi one is fine. And just zip it in one side. When they turn golden, flip them and do the other side. Drain them on a cloth or a paper towel or a tea towel. Yum. Really nice. Crumbed cauliflower. It's so good. Sounds a bit fiddly, but it's no worse than making fish cakes or rissoles or something. Once you get going, it's just sort of setting up and working through the production line is really good like that. Or, yeah, you could do it, turn it into cauliflower fried rice. That will freeze. What else can you do with it? Turn it into soup. Cauliflower soup's nice. Cauliflower soup's nice and it will freeze. I'm getting a bit late in the year for soups, but you never know.
It's going to be cold on Saturday.
And it is going to be cold on Saturday. Anyone else got any ideas what Maureen can do with her cauliflower? Let us know. We need ideas what to do with these 3 huge cauliflowers. They're always big. When you find them and you don't need them, they're always big. When you find them and you're really looking for them, they're still little. I have to tell you, ladies, everyone, on Saturday, I had a really nice day. It was card day, but I was gifted chives, parsley, sage, rosemary, silver beet, rhubarb, and cabbage. So the sage and the parsley, some of the parsley were already dried, so they went into my spice jars. But then I had a big bag of rosemary and a huge big bag of parsley, some really yummy chives. Oh, and some chive plants that are out in pots, ready to keep us going in chives. So I've had the dehydrator going, flat chat. I did the parsley first. Dried the parsley, whizzed it, some of it's still in the bowl. I whizzed some in the coffee grinder to make it parsley flakes to go into the spice jar. I still have some to do. I dried the chives and just chopped those with the scissors. I didn't chop them before I dried them because I didn't really feel like putting a mat down in the dehydrator a little bit, so I just dried the strips of chives and then cut them later, pop those into a jar. I did rosemary. Oh my gosh, the house smelled divine while the rosemary was in the dehydrator. I know I could have hung it to dry, But the fire's off now. We let the fire go out now, so we won't have any of that nice dry heat. That's good, and we haven't really had the hot days for it to dry outside. So put it in the dehydrator. The house smelled divine. Rosemary smells so good when it's drying. I still have probably half of it to do, and I'll get that done tomorrow, hopefully, into the jars. So my spice jars or my herb jars are pretty much topped up. So I'll cross those off my list. Pretty much topped up, and it hasn't cost me anything. With the rhubarb, I stewed it, and then in the bottom of the fridge I had some wrinkly apples, so I put them through the slinky and stewed those and mixed it together, and I made two, one really big and one normal sized apple and rhubarb sponges. So we had one for dessert on Sunday night and finished it off last night. The other one's in the freezer for later on. It was really nice, so good. And it used up the apples that were going to be wrinkly, and I didn't know quite what I was going to do with them. And made Wayne happy because he loves rhubarb. And it didn't cost anything much. It was just I cheated, and I used the 65-cent Coles cake mix to make the sponge. It worked. It was really nice. He felt really spoilt because we haven't had dessert for so long. We've had dessert for months. So he felt really spoilt because I made him a rhubarb and apple sponge pudding. I'm a mean wife. Never mind. So I was really happy. I was so excited to be gifted those things. And they're things that I use, and they're things that I would have needed to buy. So the cabbage turns into coleslaw because we've got a couple of hot days coming up. Can't wait for that. I have some carrots that are in the fridge that need to be used, so they'll go into the coleslaw too, and a couple of onions, and we're done. Hannah's got a hand up in the air.
How long do you leave the herbs into the dehydrator for?
Okay. How long do you leave the herbs in the dehydrator? I have an Aldi one. It only goes up to 70 degrees, 3 tiers. I do single layer on all tiers, and it will really depend on what you're drying as to how long it takes. I rotate the trays, so every hour I rotate the trays. So the top goes to the bottom, and the bottom goes to the next, and so that they go through. So I rotate through them. The parsley took a while to dry. It took about 7 hours to dry properly, thoroughly. So it was really crispy dry so that it crumbled when I touched it. The rosemary didn't take very long at all, probably 2.5 hours, maybe 3. Chives took a bit longer than the parsley because it depends how much moisture is in them. They hold more moisture, obviously, than the parsley does, so they take a little bit long. It's like drying mushrooms. Mushrooms take forever to dry. You think they're never going to dry. They do eventually, but it takes forever. They can take up to 12, 15 hours, depending on how thick you slice them. So just keep an eye on it. If you want them for long-term storage, they need to be really dry, thoroughly dry, no moisture left in the mold. You need to pick it up and it needs to crumble in your fingers dry. If you're going to use it within, a month or so, it might not need to be that dry. But for long-term storage, it needs to be bone dry, as they say, absolutely bone dry. I'm going to get a drink of water again. Sorry, guys.
Because you're bone dry.
It is because I'm bone dry.
Can you over dry the herbs?
I suppose you could. If your dehydrator came with a book, check in the book. Should give you a rough idea. But it's one of those things that you get to know by the feel as you do it. The first time I did tomatoes, I didn't do them long enough, and they were still quite moist. And so I had to end up keeping them in the fridge in oil. That was fine, didn't worry me at all. The next time I knew to slice them thinner and dry them a bit longer. And they turned out better. I know Carol, the lovely Carol, dries tomatoes and turns them into tomato powder.
Smells good.
Yeah, it smells divine. So to do that, they must be absolutely, again, that crumble in your fingers, brittle, dry. And tomatoes take a long time to dehydrate too. They're a very moist fruit. They're full of water. So you could try scooping the seeds and the pulp out and just doing the flesh. I usually just slice them and bung them in the tray. Strawberries dry well, but they don't take too long. Kiwi fruit, banana takes a bit of time. Banana never actually gets really, really dry either.
It goes chewy.
Yeah, it goes a bit leathery. So yes, it's a bit of a dehydrating. It's a bit of a learning. It's every time I do something, I learn something new. How long it's going to take, and a lot of it. And this is going to sound really weird, but a lot of it depends on the weather. So I'm better for us here in Melbourne. I'm better to do my drying in the middle of summer when it's really, really hot, north winds blowing, there's not a scrap of humidity in the air. Things will dehydrate much faster than they will in winter when it's very moist and humid. So, I don't know. It's a bit like all sorts, isn't it? Any more questions, my love? No? All right. No? Okay, guys. Well, in that case, if I've confused you all with your stockpiling for Christmas, and I have?
You confused me.
I've confused Hannah. I simply divide December and January into 3. You have to do it into 2 if you're going to do it. And shop ahead. It means that you don't have to hit the shops in December. It means that you can stick to your grocery budget. It also means that you can get your treats while they're on sale without tag-alongs.
Yeah. Maury would like to know, can you freeze silver beet? Or is it like cabbage?
Well, you can freeze silver beet. You can freeze spinach. Have you ever had frozen spinach? Silver beet's much the same, but it will come out. Come out still green and vibrant green, but it will just be limp, which is fine if you're going to just put it into a quiche or yeah, or a cannelloni or something like that. Cannoli, silver beet cannoli, yuck. And it's into cannelloni or something like that, or layer it into lasagna, add it to a spag bowl sauce. It will be fine. You can use it for smoothies. Don't like those green smoothies. Sorry, folks. Not a fan. But yeah, you can freeze it. Just be aware that it's when you thaw it, it's best to go into something. You can't just serve it as a side dish. Yeah, but it will freeze. Yes. All these things. If you go to the website, on the tip sheets page, there should be, or there is, a chart that tells you how long things last in the freezer. So all sorts of things. It'll give you a rough idea of what you can freeze and how long it will keep in the freezer, or keep before it starts to lose quality in the freezer. So it has all sorts of, it has dairy and meats and vegetables, fruits, baked goods, all sorts of things on it. Okay, on that note, I might say good night. Good night. I'll see you on Thursday. We're going to talk about the freezer. I'll try and remember to get my inventories off the side of the cupboard out there. And we'll make a coconut cake to enjoy. Oh, sorry, before we go, Glennis asked if I would show how I make my Christmas cakes. I'd really like to, but it takes hours.
Also, family recipe.
Well, it's a family recipe, but we're all family. We're all family. It takes hours. I soak the fruit for at least 24 hours, usually 2 or 3 days. I'll soak the fruit, just keep stirring it until I'm ready to make it. Then it has to be boiled, it has to be cooled, all the dry ingredients have to be added, then it has to be baked. Now, if I'm baking a round cake, it takes about 2 hours in the oven. If I'm doing a square cake, it takes 2.5 hours. But even if I'm just doing the small cupcake sizes, they still take 30 to 35 minutes in the oven. So it would make for a really long show. I'm happy to show you how I line the tins and things, and perhaps get it in different stages. I don't know how I could do it, but yeah, that's pretty much how I make my cakes. It's really quite simple. It has to be, because I can make them. Trust me, if it was hard, I wouldn't be able to do it, would I?
Mm.
No, I don't have the patience, and I don't have that skill. I'm not a natural cook or baker, so there you go. But I wasn't ignoring your question, Glennis. I'm just trying to figure out if I can do it. It would take a long time. It would be a long show. I'd have to do bits and pieces ahead and stagger them.
It'd be a two-parter.
It might have to be a two-parter, yeah. Well, that'd keep Dad happy, because then he'd get 2 cakes.
Nah, because the first night you soak the fruit
All
and
right.
have like a little batch ready to stir,
Uh-huh.
and then the next night you mix all the ingredients and bake it.
Oh, okay. Hannah knows how to do it. All right. Anyway, I'm going to go. Have a lovely rest of the evening. If your weather is fine tomorrow, I think it's fine pretty much everywhere tomorrow. Really hot. Stay safe and out of the fires. And I'll see you on Thursday when we'll talk about freezers, which I'll need to because it's going to be hot, and make a coconut cake. Okay, I shall see you all. Whoops, lost my doobie. See you on Thursday. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me. And don't forget, if you want a planner, go and order it now. Okay, bye.